Holy smokes, everyone. In this video, we're going to be going over how BlackRock and Wall Street and all the hedge funds are coming for your home and the Fed is helping them. This is going to be a very important video and one you're definitely not going to miss, and you have to watch to the end. And please, everyone, we have to make all our friends and family and the average American aware of the huge theft that is going on right now. If we don't act now, if we don't share this information now, by the year 2030, we'll all own nothing and the global elites will be happy. What we are witnessing right now is literally the greatest wealth transfer in history. Now, we've had many wealth transfers in history. And what the hedge funds, what the big banks, they engineer the crashes, and every crash, they take on more and more of the wealth, they take on more and more power, and they take on more and more control of the financial system. And of course, they're the ones that start the fire, then the Fed has to put out the fire, and we're the one that gets put with the bill. So let's not waste any time, anyone. Let's get straight into it. Look at this, everyone. BlackRock and other investment firms are killing the dream of home ownership. And listen to this, everyone. Wall Street giants want to be your landlord. Data shows mega banks are buying up the US real estate. And as you can see here, everyone, they're not just buying up one or two homes, they're literally buying up entire neighborhoods. And also what they're doing, they're getting closer and closer connections with these big, huge tech real estate companies. So before these properties even come on the market or these homes come on the market, they're literally buying them up in the tens of thousands, because it makes a lot more sense for these big tech companies. They can sell a lot more homes easier. It's a lot more easier just having one buyer coming out and buying up everything in bulk. There's a lot less paperwork. So it makes sense for them, but it's very bad for us. So it says here, buyers in the United States, and this is not just happening in the United States. I've got a lot of viewers here in my home country, Australia. This is happening in Australia, the UK, Canada. They're looking for ways to park cash because the US economy and the global economy has been flooded with cash from central banks' quantitative easing. They're giving cheap credit to these banks that us retail buyers can't compete with, because we have to pay anywhere between 3 and 4% interest for a mortgage. But these hedge funds are getting credit at 0.25%, which I'll get into later. So again, buyers in the United States have found difficulties acquiring single-family homes after year-long business shutdowns and lockdowns that followed the pandemic. It seems there's a new wave of home buyers in the US real estate market, with buyers stemming from hedge funds, pension funds, clearinghouses, and financial service companies. The weight of real estate property under the US banking system wings today has analysts and economists very concerned about the next financial crisis. Because, of course, what happened in 2008? You had all these big banks selling all these derivatives and giving out these crazy loans and, gambling your savings away, because when your money goes into the banking system, that's when your money's not really there. They're just taking it and speculating it on derivatives, and also shorting companies, like we're seeing what's happening with the AMC short squeeze. So with this crazy real estate hype and bubble and mania that we're seeing right now, they could be engineering the next crash. So then that way, when it crashes again next time, they can take everybody's properties for pennies on the dollar, like what happened in 2009. And look what they're doing. People can't even compete with this. Wall Street bankers are buying up all the single-family homes in the US, new breed of buyers, and they're paying 20% above asking price. And you may be thinking, why are they paying so much for a home? It doesn't make sense. What about the cash flow? This is why. Look at this, everyone. What you have to know is what the Federal Reserve did in 2020 is they started a primary dealer credit facility, PDCF. And what that means is, listen to this. This is a program revived from the global financial crisis. The Fed offers low interest rates, currently 0.25%, loans for up to 90 days to 25 large financial institutions known as primary dealers. So as we're seeing there, the Fed is helping these hedge funds because they're giving them cheap credit that we can't compete with. We can't get access to these credit. And then those dealers, They're either buying properties themselves, like BlackRock, or they're lending it to other large financial institutions that say 0.75% or 1%. Again, that's how they can afford to pay 20 or 30, some even 50% above asking price because they're pretty much getting free money here. So it says here, the infamous Black Thursday on March 12, 2020, people might assume that US mega banks are carrying mountains of USD. Be that as it may, what's really going down is the Federal Reserve and the American banking cartel is currently sitting on a massive heaps of mortgages, land titles, and an itch for single family homes. So we can see this tweet here. BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street control $20 trillion worth of assets. BlackRock alone has $10 billion a year surplus. That means with a 5 to 20% down payment, they can get a mortgage on 130 to 170k homes every year. Or they can outright buy 30k homes per year. And people, listen to this. This is the rigged game that they're playing, and we can't compete. And you know what? There's been a lot of talk about the Great Reset in 2020 and 2021. The quote, "you own nothing and be happy," has pretty much gone viral. But what the World Economic Forum hasn't told us, how exactly will people own nothing? Because I'm sure a lot of people aren't just going to volunteer to give all their wealth away, or everyone's just not just going to give their home away. And it's funny that all these, globalist elites, these technocrats, these politicians tell us, everything we need to do, we need to eat less meat, we need to have more equality. But they're the ones that have got the millions and millions of dollars, and I don't see them giving their wealth away. But of course, they'll tell us serfs what to do. So listen to this, everyone. This is pretty scary. I just got denied a loan for a small single family home, Paul said to his 815k Twitter followers on Thursday. I kind of think that this market is rigged right now. It makes absolutely no sense. My credit is extremely high. My income is also very high. But they said my credit is too low, which is absolutely not true. What's creepy is that all this talk about firms buying up houses on spot in cash. I'm fortunate enough that I don't need a loan to buy a house, so I can just walk past them. But what about other working class people that can't afford to do this? And this is something that I'm hearing a lot. There's a lot of people that got great credit, they've got a good down payment. The banks aren't letting them take any loans to buy any homes. Well, why is that? They've got great credit and they've got a good down payment. Maybe it's because the banks are actually the one competing with the customers that they're giving the credit to, or they've got their friends at BlackRock or these other hedge funds that they're saying, look, don't give this house to the peasants. Or maybe what they could do, which is very, very crazy, we've got all these people that have had mortgage holidays or they've been in forbearance, they haven't been paying their mortgages. What I think could be a possibility once all these things come to an end in the US and they already have in Australia. Say, for example, they've got a portfolio of, say, 1,000 people that are delinquent on their payments. They could just call up BlackRock. Hey, man, we've got 1,000 homes we're about to foreclose on. You want in? And BlackRock will be like, yeah, give me all this person's home. I'll take them. I know it sounds crazy, people, but this is possibly something that could be coming. So like we're talking about, everyone, the real estate market has people worried that the banking cartel may try to pull another financial disaster as they did back in the FDR's day and during the financial crisis of 2008. Some have been speculating that the great real estate bubble in 2020 and into 2021 is the start of the global elite's Great Reset agenda. While many people think the Great Reset is merely a conspiracy theory, how can it be a conspiracy theory? It's on the World Economic Forum's website. They've literally done dozens of videos about it. It's not a conspiracy theory, it's all factual public information. But of course, if you go against the mainstream narrative, if you say anything against the establishment, oh, conspiracy theorist. That's how they get people to shut up and not speak up because they're worried that they'll be called a conspiracy theorist. And he also goes on to say, the Great Reset is real. It is happening. This will be the greatest transfer of wealth and the greatest consolidation of power in the history of mankind. And I completely agree with this. The rich, the mega rich, the billionaires, they made more money in 2020 than ever before. And also the governments and the global elites, they've never had so much power and control. And now they own the media. They're now getting more control over social media. And if you say anything wrong against the establishment, anything that goes against the mainstream narrative, boom, you get shut down. And this is something I'm very worried about in the future is we go to a full super technocratic state where everything's digital with the central bank digital dollar, with the digital IDs, with the digital passports, and you say anything wrong or you step out of line, you just get turned offline. And listen to this, everyone, this is crazy. Investigative reports and data now show that the M1 expansion found its way into the US real estate market, and the banking cartel has captured a lot of property during the last year. Despite a few reverse repo mortgage-backed securities are being held tight by the Federal Reserve. In fact, as of June 2nd, 2021, the US Central Bank owns 21% of all mortgage bonds in America. Stats shows the Fed purchased more than $100 billion per month in mortgage-backed securities from lenders and mega banks. But of course, the Fed says, oh no, we can't taper, we can't stop buying mortgage-backed securities, we can't stop buying treasuries. We just want to help out the little guy. We want to make sure people get a job. We want to, fix inequality, when they're the ones that are making all the problems. And I can't believe people buy their lies that they keep spinning. The Fed has been aggressively buying mortgage-backed securities, another clear example of how artificially pumping liquidity in an asset creates bubbles and issues down the line. This is not healthy, the macroeconomic and commodity strategist said. At the end of May, the Federal Reserve's own statistical data shows that American central banks owns around $2.2 trillion in mortgage-backed securities. And, the Federal Reserve at its last meeting was asked, or is you buying mortgage-backed securities, helping fuel this real estate bubble? And of course, like, nah, it's got nothing to do with it, when they've brought over $1 trillion of mortgage-backed securities. And I wonder what would happen to all these bad loans, all these bad mortgage-backed securities. What would happen to the real estate market if the Federal Reserve wasn't buying them? Well, of course, people would default on these loans, no one would want to buy them, and the real estate market would crash. And listen to this, everyone. Wiltermoss stated the Fed's goal is to eventually shed its mortgage-backed securities holding, but instead of shedding its mortgage-backed securities holdings, the central bank tripled its real estate buying. What if banks are becoming insolvent due to a year of mortgages not getting paid? Tim Pool asked his Twitter followers on the next day. Someone would have to bail them out. And of course, it'll be us. And then they'll use that tax money to give to the banks, rinse and repeat. This is what they've been doing over the past 100 years, ever since the Federal Reserve has been created. They've just created boom-bust cycles. Every crash, the middle class and the poor's standard of living gets reduced drastically, and these banks, they just get more and more control. And look where we are into society now. People, back in the day, they used to get paid in an envelope. You didn't have to have a bank account. Now you have to have a bank account. You can't, survive in society without a bank account, or you can't have a good high standard of living, have a good job, or get a mortgage without going through the banking system. Now, everyone's retirement. In the US, they've got 401ks. In Australia, we've got superannuation. So Wall Street has taken over our retirement. They've now got trading apps where the average Joe can invest, a bit of their savings very easily into the stock market. So what they're doing is they're making everyone completely reliant on the system, and then they're taking your money and gambling it away, and then they cause a crash, and they say, guys, we're too big to fail. Give us your money, bail us out, or this whole system is going down. Well, humans survived for thousands and thousands of years without central banks and without big, huge corporations. So I'm sure if we do have a huge financial crisis, if they do bank, it will be hard, it will be ugly, but we will find a way to survive without a central bank. So what we are witnessing right now is the World Economic's Great Reset agenda. It is in motion right before our eyes, and we have to spread this message and wake up the general population about the great heist that is going on right now. Now, for all my loyal viewers and subscribers still watching, you're awesome. If you haven't already, please tap that like and subscribe button. I'll keep you up to date with the latest happening in the real estate market, the stock market, and global economic news. If you're bored, I'll put up some of my other videos here. I'll see you all there.